Hello, and welcome to Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, the newest entry in the Yakuza / Like a Dragon franchise. I love Pirate Yakuza soundtrack. It's not my favorite, but a good parent doesn't have favorites. Also, my parents tell me. To me, the soundtrack felt very unique, and so here I am with this video where I show you most of the songs from the game and who composed them, but before I do, I'll start off with some interesting facts, and throughout the video, I'll occasionally chime in and tell you some more stuff. Starting with the first fact that I think honestly explains why the soundtrack felt so unique, and that's because this was the first game in the series to have had its soundtrack directed by the wonderfully talented Saori Yoshida. She's been around for a while and is most well known for songs like Destiny from Yakuza 6, Yakuza 0's cabaret music, or creating the original Fiercest Warrior, which has been remixed in many games. For all the other composers involved, this game had basically everyone from Infinite Wealth and Gaiden, with no new people as far as I could tell. This wasn't her first time directing a soundtrack for a game, as she previously directed a Shin Megami Tensei mobile phone game soundtrack, and it was her and two other prominent Yakuza composers who made that game's soundtrack. But one of those names was one that I immediately noticed was absent from Pirate Yakuza's soundtrack, and that's the Omega talented Chihiro Aoki. She's been around for a while, composing some of the best songs the series has seen, and also directed the soundtracks of Ishin, Yakuza 6, and most recently, Gaiden and Infinite Wealth. However, this is the first time a soundtrack has had nothing to do with her since becoming a core part of the sound team, and another absentee was Hidenori Shoji, who is definitely the most well-known composer, writing songs for the series ever since the very first one, and directing a handful of soundtracks too, like most recently the few new songs in the Ishin remake 2 years ago. But Shoji was also absent from Gaiden, and as much as it sounds like that's reason to panic, I don't quite think so. From my understanding, both of them still work at Sega, but considering how much they've done and how important their talents are for the studio, I think that the two of them are either on some sort of break, or perhaps they've even been tasked with creating the soundtrack for the recently announced Project Century, whatever that ends up being. So I believe the two of them have taken the back seat in order to let some of the more junior staff take over, which since the previous two games, they've gathered a fair number of new composers for the RGG sound team, which would definitely be a good idea to help them work their magic, especially given the small scale of this game compared to something like Infinite Wealth, and allow someone more junior than the two of them, but still senior enough to be one of the heavy hitters like Yoshida, to take the reins and give directing a go. But Yoshida's direction combined with the relatively fresh combination of talent I think is what led this game to have a very different sounding soundtrack compared to the previous games. It's not all new people, there's still some cutscene music done by Hide Lunch, a couple of songs by Yuri Fukuda, one song done by 83 Key, and a majority of the songs were done by Keitaro Hanada. You'll hopefully see what I'm about to say throughout this video, but I think Yoshida very clearly has either shaped the songs themselves or precisely chose songs for various scenes and boss fights that are very fitting to whatever it is. It also feels like a trademark of hers to have a lot of hard to hear English vocals, which a lot of the songs in this game have. I don't know the full scale of work for music director of any game, let alone an RGG one, but I honestly knew she directed the soundtrack before I even saw her name on the credits or anything, because something about the overall feeling felt very much like her. But anyway, that's enough from me for now. Currently you're hearing the themes Anchors Aweigh and Nameless Traveler, which are the two songs in the title screen of the game, and also two songs done by Saori Yoshida herself. But now it's time to start playing the songs and showing you who did what, and I'll start off with the Mad Dog battle theme, appropriately titled Mad Dog, which has a portion of it that doesn't actually exist in-game and can only be heard in the soundtrack, something that I've only noticed in one other song, and that's Storm of Blades, but it's a really small bit. So please enjoy this unique addition to Mad Dog, and please enjoy the rest of the video.
ジラブラブラブ愛しのプリンセス大好きなのさ光合成で生きてるみたいに君を浴びなきゃ枯れてしまうからずっとそばにいてくれないか Just my midnight desire 果てなき欲に飲まれて Just my midnight ramen Ravenous voice within howling out hungry Just my midnight hunger ベプタシスターだってた Just my midnight regret フィッシュと共に落ちる水 Oh off we go On our ship to waters unknown 僕らはこんなとこで終わる器じゃない有风漫过香味今夜一起端对 We'll be rich as we can be Just as long as we believe Then we'll always believe
Shit off my screen right now. Jesus Christ. And let me save it to a folder, you know what I mean? And that concludes all of the early game or side activity stuff that I'm going to show. Just a real quick recommendation to all gamers out there that you should put the game on beginner when doing the on ship battle because otherwise it just sucks dick. Anyway, enjoy all the main story stuff, starting with the first long battle theme. Jump scare, hello, back again so soon. Here's a little fun fact. For a while now, the official soundtracks of the games have sorted the songs in order of their appearance in-game, and then after the final themes, we'll have all the side content music. But Shigaki's theme, as in this one playing right now, is placed in such an order that would imply that this second battle against him, as in the one you're seeing right now, was the first time you hear it, which obviously it wasn't. Anyway, now I'm fading away. not this guy again. Hello, it's me again. Here's another fun fact. Everyone's favorite character, the legendary pirate Keith, managed to have 3 themes play for the first time when fighting him. These are the Mad Dog battle theme that plays for the first time in the tutorial, Ruthless Scoundrel, which is the standard boss theme, and this song, Storm of Blades. He also almost got Defiant Strike, which he was only 1 appearance too late to claim that, but instead it was his crew that did, so realistically it was him. Anyway, Storm of Blades is very obviously supposed to be Mortimer's theme, but for some reason at the end of the long battle against Mortimer's crew, the theme plays when you fight Keith. Good on you, Keith. And that's the game. It had a great soundtrack, but I don't think it's quite as good as something like the first Gaiden or Infinite Wealth. Certain songs I absolutely love, like The Power of Goro's Pirates, but there wasn't really a whole lot to inspire me to do cool edits like I've done in the past, sadly. Honestly, this could have been due to the context of the game forcing a whole new direction, or perhaps this is just how Yoshida directs things. Not to say that's a bad thing, of course. In fact, I feel like with this game, the songs match the tone of the scene or the fight or whatever extremely well, and I think that's because of her direction. Crushing Blow is the only Japanese sounding theme in the game, and it's rather appropriate as it plays against the only Yakuza you fight in the story. The Crow Queen is a song that fits Michelle's whole aesthetic. Mad Dog feels well, mad, and Power Unleashed definitely encourages that piratey atmosphere. In Infinite Wealth, Wong To's theme, Giftiker Fullhalter, not only is a German name, but it's this hype-electronic song for a Chinese guy that runs a 70s themed casino in a fancy Hawaiian hotel. It's not even remotely themed around anything to do with him, but holy shit, it's a savage song. None of the context matters with the themes in almost all of the games, but instead they're just really good songs. And that's the difference between Yoshida and Aoki's direction, or at least I think. If she gets to direct another game's soundtrack in the future, then we'll get to see if Yoshida keeps up this trend, because it was a really refreshing approach to the music. But they really lucked out with Aoki. I mean, I don't know if she was scouted or if she just rocked up to Sega asking for a job, but her first role as music director with Ishin created one of the best soundtracks the series has ever seen. I mean, seriously, name me an Ishin song that doesn't make you feel things. But imagine if they never lent an opportunity to other creative talent. If they didn't, every song would still be done by Hidenori Shoji and Keitaro Hanada, which that would still go hard, but it wouldn't at all be as good as it is now. And so I hope Yoshida gets to direct another soundtrack in the future, even if it is another spin-off. She's clearly talented, she clearly did a good job, and there's the potential for RGG Studio to help her grow, so that way they basically just have Exodia in their hands at all times with their team of musical wizards. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy. I feel like I say this every time, but I'm always surprised by the number of people that request these videos. So to those people, I'm sorry this took me so long, but I hope you enjoyed as well. Normally, this would be where I'd have some sort of witty punchline to end the video, or I'd just throw Final Fantasy 16 at you, but I couldn't think of anything.